And then, okay. So really simple, just two little activities here. So this is just the kind of language you see between people in a conference or something like that. And we just want to match the expression with the response. So maybe James, could you try number one, please?
Of course. I speak it out or I find the answer.
Read it and find the answer.
All right. Excuse me, could you do me a favor and pass the juice? I think B. Here you go.
Yes, that's right. Good. And Jasmine, can you do the next one, please?
Oh, that's a great calling card. Calling card. What's the calling card?
Like a business card.
Oh, it's a card. Oh.
Yeah.
That's great. That would be nice. This one or my do you like it or internal design people did it?
Yeah, that's right. Good. Do you like it? Yeah. Okay. Good. Lily, please.
How's business in your parts of the world? I was there not long ago, actually. There's a business in your part. Your passport.
That's something that you might say to each other between your Hong Kong and Taiwan offices. How's business in your part of the world? How's business where you live, where you work?
It could be worse. We've been through a bad patch, but it's picking up now.
Yes, that's right. And that expression, saying like could be worse, people will also sometimes say could be better. It's a really, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a very common way to answer this kind of question. So you're trying to say that it's, things have been going well, but you're not trying to say, oh, everything's great. It just means like, it doesn't really say anything actually. It just says like things aren't bad and aren't amazing, basically.
Okay.
What does the patch mean here? Because in computer science, we will use patch like about fix, but I don't think this one is like in computer science patch.
It just means like you could also use it to refer to a section of ground. So like there is a patch of grass on the ground. It just means like a small area.
I see.
Yeah. So like a short, they went through a short time of bad business, but it's getting better now.
All right, thanks.
James, number 4, please.
4? Yeah. I don't think you have met Dr. K from R&D. I don't think I have. Hello, I'm Ashal Khan. I'm in marketing.
Good. Okay. Jasmine, do you know how to read the name of that city?
Reykjavik.
Yeah, it's close. You don't say the K in the middle, so just Reykjavik or Reykjavik.
Reykjavik.
Yeah, it's the
Have you
capital.
been in Reykjavik? I was there not long ago, actually.
Good. Yeah, it's the capital of Iceland. And Lily, please.
I'll write down my details for you. That would be nice.
Yeah, that works, but there's a better.
Thanks. Here's the pen.
Yeah. James. Oops.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
right. We should do lunch one day.
Um,
The
that would be nice. Yeah.
that would be nice.
Good. Okay, so now I'm gonna have you guys do a
Sure.
simple role play, kind of networking conversation. One of you is going to get to do it twice because it's only for 2 people. So basically, there are 2 people. So one of you will be student A, and one of you will be student B. Student A, the situation is you're working at your company's stand at a trade fair in Chicago. Do you know what do you know what a trade fair is?
Sort of. Like maybe they have many stands and you could exchange. Maybe some there will be buyer and seller will be introduce their own products, something like this.
Yeah, we often call them an exhibition, and yeah, usually there's one coming up in Shanghai very soon, which is an interesting one to go to, where it's the import export fair. So there's a big area, and many companies, they rent a small space and they set up information about their company, what they do, and people who want to sell their services or who are looking for services all go together and talk about it. So it's a trade fair in Chicago, and student A, you're working at your company stand. Student B, you're visiting the trade fair. So why don't Jasmine and Lily, why don't you guys start? So Jasmine, you can be student A and Lily be student B. So here is what you do. So student A is on the left and student B is on the right. And these instructions will tell you how to have this conversation.
So who started? Jasmine and
Lily. Yeah, so Jasmine, if you could be on the left, student A, and Lily, student B.
So I have to start now, or
Yes.
okay. So hello.
Hello.
Hello. It's so embarrassed. It's so embarrassed. Okay. Hello. So you come here to where are you from?
I'm originally from Venezuela.
How to
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah, good.
Venezuela.
and
Yeah.
which company?
Okay, I'm currently working in Brazil for Rio Aviation Corporation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you and what's your line of business?
Oh, actually, I'm working in research and development department. I am a material scientist.
Always cool. And here's my business card.
Thank you. And this is mine.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And my company is now working a new generation of plastic for use of aircraft. And do you have any interest on this?
Okay. I'm actually very interested in it. I am a plastic specialist myself.
Oh,
So yeah, I come here to see around to see if I can find something interesting.
yeah. Actually, I work in California, and if you have time, you can visit my country. And find more details about the business line of my country, and my my company is near San Francisco. Do you have any interest for this visiting?
Yes, it's going to be great. I will be in California next month. And how about I contact you by emails to confirm the date?
Yeah, it's cool. Sure.
Okay, so I guess I have to go now. I will contact you.
Okay. Yeah. See you.
See
It's
you.
really nice to meet you.
See you next month.
See
That was good. Yeah, good job. I think actually the last part's a little bit, it's sometimes difficult to escape conversation. Like how do you get away? What do you say? But you did that well. You just said, oh, I have to go. That's good. So James, why don't you do part A? Yeah, why don't you do part A, and who wants to do part B? So do you want to, how should we do this? Well, I'll tell you what, maybe Jasmine, you just did part A, right? So maybe you can do part B this time.
Sorry, I do the part B.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sure. So, where are you from? And where do you work for? Kind of awkward. Hi, I'm actually pretty interested in this STEM. So, where are you from and what are you working on?
I'm from Venezuela, and I work in Brazil for Real Aviation Corporation.
I see. So, what's the line of the business that you're working on? Maybe.
I'm a materials scientist, and I work in research and developer department.
Here it is my business card.
Oh, thank you. And this is my card. Here you are.
Oh, so my company is actually working on a new generation of taxis for using aircraft. Perhaps you're interested in it.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, I'm really interested in it. Actually, I'm a plastic specialist.
I actually based in California, and I should pay a visit for your company's development department there near San Francisco.
Yeah, I would like to have a visit, and I will be California next month, and if you have time, please please send me some message by email
Sure.
with the dates of the trip.
Sure. Perhaps I could send you some samples of it, so perhaps that we can discuss more on the email about the visit and about our products.
Oh, it's so cool, and I have to like go to another place. So thank you. We will, and I would like to like keep in touch with you.
Sure, no problem. All right. Thanks. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Okay. All right.
That's all.
这个 U 是表示这个 U 还是表示我，表示你 ？You are a 对，就是你。
No student that. Oh, it's mine. 对，是应该是我的，对。
You is
对，就是你要来 visit 我的公司这样子，对。
对。
All right, I see.
Yeah. The main, yeah, that's right. It's addressed to you, but the main kind of point here is more the social language rather than the content of the company or whatnot. But yeah,
Sure.
it's pretty good. I'm not sure that generally we wouldn't use, you know, in a professional setting, even when it's a little bit casual, you wouldn't use the word cool that much. But yeah, no, it was good overall.
So what kind of maybe perhaps similar wording in business? Maybe.
Just if somebody says, for example, like when we look at the where it says say the part about the plastics, right? And the person saying express interest, you know, you're a plastic specialist yourself. You just say, oh, well, that's interesting. I work in plastics myself, or oh, what a coincidence. I'm also a plastic specialist.
Oh,
Or oh, that's good to hear. I'll be in California next month. Oh, that's great. You know, just sort of those kind of general, you know, great or interesting sort of words. So. Okay, so today we're going to do a little bit of sentence stress and then move on to a new topic, which is about international marketing. We probably won't have time to get to the last part, which we will do eventually. Talking about formal and informal register. The word register here is it's a word that refers to the style of speech. So we basically have a formal register, which is, you know, formal language that you use in I don't know, talking to your boss or talking to the bank or something like that, and informal, which you use between close colleagues or friends or family. But register just refers to the style of language. Okay, so sentence stress. We've done a little bit of this before. So sentence stress it's important. And one of the reasons it's important is it can carry meaning about what the speaker thinks is important. So for example, if I say, I don't think he should get that job. I don't think he should get that job. I really mean that somebody else, not him. I don't think he should get that job. Same words, different stress. I think he should get a different job. Right? Like he deserves some kind of job. So speakers will do this automatically, and we're going to practice that a little bit. So it's important to note that with stress, there are basically three ways to do stress in a sentence. One is just to say it louder, one is to say it longer, and one is to change the pitch of your voice. And you can use combinations of all three. So I don't think he should get that job. So I just said he, I didn't say it any louder, but I took a pause before and after the word. And what you're really doing is just making that word very clear, and it compared to all the other words. I don't think he should get that job. That's louder and higher pitch. Okay, so here we have the same sentence on the left. I did not say you were a good student. And there are 4 different words underlined, and each one has a different meaning depending on how you stress it. So, Lily, why don't you try the first one? Can you read the first sentence, stressing the word I, the underlined word, and then choose the correct meaning, please?
Okay. I did not say you were a good student. Somebody else said it.
Good. Yeah, I did not say you were a good student. Yeah, this other guy said it good.
Yeah, I have a question. I think it also means that I did not say that you sound right. You sound wrong. It means that you understand wrong. When I didn't say you.
You mean you misunderstood the meaning of what I said?
Yeah, it means that the other person like understand wrong. That I understand.
Yes, that could be true. Yeah.
So I think it's a D. You only found it. It means that.
This is not a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I mean it's meaning that you thought I said that you were not a good student, but I didn't mean that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you're right about the meaning, but you only thought it in this case refers to the speaker, not the listener. Right. So.
Oh, so.
Yeah. Read number 2 for me.
Okay. Me?
Yes, please.
Oh. I did not see you were a good student.
Right. I did not say you were a good student.
Oh, so you thought that I mean that
Yeah.
did not
In this case, it means I didn't say it out loud, but I did think it. I didn't say you were a good student.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
so
really
the
think-
you is the I at the left.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
But you are right about what you, in the first part, what you said is correct. Yeah. I didn't say it means like, I didn't say you were a good student. Like nobody said that. You misheard it or you misunderstood. Yeah. You could say that. Yeah.
mm,
Good point. James, please.
I did not say you were a good student.
Good.
You said somebody else was a good student. See.
That's right. I didn't say you were a good student. I said Jasmine was a good student. Good. And yeah, Lily, please. Oops. Well, obviously this is a. Can you read this one?
I did not say you were a good student. You said they were a bad student.
That's right. That's right. By in terms of, so the
Oh.
stress is indicating which part is not correct. I didn't say that. I said this other thing. You know what I mean? I didn't say.
So,
Go ahead.
so is the B, I think, are you mean that you said you were a bad student, not they? Or, I mean, they here,
This is like you heard me incorrectly. I said you.
you
were-
are the best.
but they is, I mean, many students. I use,
right.
All students.
Yeah, let me make a small point about this right now. So, you know, in English, we have the pronouns, right? I, you, he, she, we, they, right? So if you don't want to choose whether you're saying he or she, there's kind of two ways to do it. So sometimes people will write he or she, you know, he or she could be a good manager because you're not trying to be specific about a he or she.
yes,
Yeah, which is fine. People do that. Another way to do it is to use the plural. We just mean
he or
not
she.
he or she. So both are kind of okay, and it's kind of a in people who argue about English language, what is correct. It's a big argument about how you should do this sort of thing. So in this case, they means singular he or she.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for the. Okay, so here's one sentence with two underlined. So if I say, what time does your plane leave? What do I mean? What time does your plane leave?
My plan leaves at 10. What about yours?
Good, yeah. And then so the opposite would be, what time does your plane leave? I know when the bus leaves. When does the plane leave? Okay. So, yeah. So James, can you choose one of these words to stress? Read the sentence to us, but don't tell us in advance. Just stress one of those two words, and then we will guess the meaning, and we'll see if we get the right one.
Sure. What does your plane leave?
Good.
Hmm?
What does your plane leave?
What time?
Yeah.
Yeah. What time does your plane leave?
Sorry. What time does your plane leave?
Good. So which one did James mean here?
My plan leaves at 10.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, that is it.
All right. So a different one. So same idea, Jasmine. Can you pick a word, stress it, and we'll guess the meaning.
How long have you worked here?
I want to know how long you work here, not live here.
That's right. Yeah, good. Jasmine, do you mind? Can you read the other stress for us, please?
How long have you worked here?
Yeah, good, good. And one for you, Louis. Last one.
Are you Joel Smith? Are you Joel Smith?
Are you Tom Smith or Joe Smith?
Good, good. And Lily, one thing you did really well there was that you used both. You said the word both sort of longer, but you also changed the pitch. Right, Joe. You added this sort of tone to Joe, and that so it made it much more clear which one you were stressing because you used both the tone and the volume. That's good. Would you mind reading the other stress for us?
Are you Joel Smith?
Good, yeah. Which is a bit more natural because it's normally in a yes or no question, we use a rising tone at the end. So, like, do you like apples? Right. At the end, it goes up, right? So, are you Joe Smith? It's kind of a that fits a little bit more naturally. Yeah. So you did that well. Good. Okay. So I just want to go back to this one for a minute because this one's a kind of the trickiest one to sort of read. So what's important when we stress is that we also have unstress. We also have the opposite of stress. So, like, for example, the word does, which is a very long vowel, does. It comes, it's quite a long. It just does. What time is your plane? So we unstress does to stress your, right? Everything else becomes a weak value. What time does your plane leave? What time does your plane leave? Your becomes your. What time does your plane leave? Right. So yeah, let's try this. Let's try this with plane. So let's just do one more read through, just stressing plane. So James, can you stress plane? Your plane. Yeah.
Right. What time does your What time does your plane leave?
Not bad, but you're still saying your. What time does your plane? What time does your plane leave? Your plane.
Your plane leave. What time does your
What time does your plane leave?
time does your plane leave? It's pitching up or pitching down?
Doesn't
Down.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter the pitch in this case. Normally in a what question, the pitch falls on leave. What time does your plane leave? But for the stress, it doesn't really matter. The key here is that your plane leave. What time does your plane leave?
What time does your plane leave?
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
Jasmine, do you want to give it a try?
What time does your plane leave?
Good. It was pretty soft. One more time.
What time does your plane leave?
Okay, good.
Just become weird.
And Lily, your turn.
Oh, I need to do it. Okay.
I'm very young.
Your plane.
What-
Time does your plane?
Okay, stress on the plane. Okay. What time does your plane leave?
One more time, please.
What time does your plane
I think
leave?
it's quite strange. What time his plane will leave? It just obviously you are in the airport, I think, I mean, the person will know that you're talking about the plane.
Well, you're kind of right. We're using a little bit of an exaggerated situation. So what this context implies that you told me you were leaving at whatever time. I asked you when your plane leaves. You told me when you're leaving, but you told me about when the bus leaves, not when the plane
Okay.
leaves. So maybe you're taking a bus to the airport and I'm meeting you at the airport. I don't care when the bus leaves. I want to know when the plane leaves. Not when you
Okay.
leave. I want to know when the plane leaves. It's a bit of an unusual situation, but it gives us a clear reason for the stress. Because the difficulty with this kind of stress is it depends a lot on what the speaker's thinking or feeling, and it's hard to know that if you're not in the context. So we have to kind of imagine this context.
Okay. Okay, I see.
But you still have to do it one more time.
Okay. What time? Go on. What time does your plan leave?
Good. Yeah, the year was a lot shorter there. That was a lot better, a lot more natural. So when I'm doing it, I'm being a little bit exaggerated. So if you don't have to do it quite as strongly. That was good. Okay. All right, let's enough of this. So the next topic we're going to sort of get into a little bit is international marketing. Not so much for the marketing side. Have any of you studied marketing at all?
No.
No.
That's fine. It's more about the language because there's a lot of good language involved in marketing. So a famous marketing person said this a few years ago. The world's youth prefer Coke to tea and trainers to sandals, and running shoes to sandals. What do you think was the meaning here? What are they trying to say? Imagine this is somebody in India or China saying this thing. So nowadays, young people prefer Coke to tea and trainers to sandals.
I think. Okay, you first.
I'm thinking that it means the young generation like Coke more than the tea.
Sure. Yes. What's the
Sandal.
implication of that? What is?
And they prefer trainer instead of sandals.
Okay. You're right.
Yeah, I think this means that young people like something very exciting and faster paced. Yeah.
Is this sentence a combined context? I think that it will impact the sentence meaning because the speaker is comparing two things, or it's actually talking about one thing.
They're comparing the past to the present, basically. What this implies is that tastes, what people prefer in all countries, are becoming homogeneous. The word homogeneous means the same. So an example of homogeneous, you might have done this in like science class. If we take coffee, black, milk, which is white, and we pour the milk into the coffee and we mix it, it becomes one color. It's all the same color, so it's homogeneous. You can't tell where the coffee is, right? That's homogeneous. The opposite of homogeneous is heterogeneous. So heterogeneous is like if you mix together salt and pepper. We can mix them, but you can still see where the salt and pepper are. It's not one color now, it's not homogeneous. So this person was saying that tastes all over the world are becoming homogeneous. That in their country, young people used to like tea, but now they like Coke. Used to wear sandals, now they wear running shoes. Globalization, essentially. But they also teach in marketing this idea of think global and act local. That even where people still prefer brands, like you see Coca-Cola everywhere or you see Nike everywhere, there are still wide variations in tastes, customs, behavior, and expectations between people in different markets. So there's two kind of sets of ideas here. Everybody's becoming the same. There's still a lot of differences regionally. So for a company, how do companies enter overseas markets? What ways do you know of that a company can expand from their own country to go into other countries?
Build a factory there, like Tesla doing in China.
Sure.
Yeah.
What would we call that if you build a factory in another country, your own factory?
making things there. I'm not sure the word,
Okay, sure.
the professional wording there. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. Any other ways that companies can do this? Okay. So one way is they do what's called an indirect export. And this is where an exporter uses an intermediary. So the company stays in their own country, but they use a intermediary, means in the middle. So they use somebody like an export agent who then
Okay.
handles the intermediary. So sometimes we say middleman, which means an intermediary. It's just somebody who's in the middle of the process. Another way is direct export. So a company will set up an overseas sales office. We also have licensing. This is where companies sell the rights to use a manufacturing process, a trademark, or patent for a fee or royalty. Do you know what a patent is?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, it's like perhaps in engineering, is like if you have some design and it's quite significant in the industry, you will ask for a pattern, and you actually have about 10 years. You need the right to use this pattern for maybe producing, or perhaps it's more like a protection of your intellectual right.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So if somebody wants to use your idea, they have to pay you a fee or what's called a royalty. So a royalty is a percent of revenue. So for example, I used to, we often call that kind of business franchising. So that's what I used to do, was franchising. And Starbucks, when they first started in China, they were franchised. So it was a local investor, a domestic investor opened the company, and they signed a licensing agreement so they could use Starbucks brand and their business process and their product, which was the coffee, and they paid a royalty. So every month they took a percentage of their revenue and paid it to Starbucks. Right now, the average royalty rate in China, at least, is 8%. So you pay 8% of your total revenue every month. And then we have a joint venture. This is where an overseas company and a local company come together and they open a factory. So I don't know who's doing that now, but the original,
It's a merge of two different companies.
not a merge, because the two
Acquisition.
in a merger, one company buys another, and in the end, there's only one company. In a joint venture, the two original companies still exist, but they start a third company where they share ownership.
This one is actually quite popular when China is developing the manufacture of their own. A lot of Taiwanese are actually perhaps they have the capital or have the technical patterns of this. So I think that joint ventures are actually quite popular at around 80s or the 90s.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would use the word popular, only because popular suggests that people like that idea.
Oh, not popular, right?
It was common, yeah.
It's common, yeah, it's common. Yeah,
but common. It was partly, it happens a lot in China, particularly because you have no choice. You're not allowed to own the company. So I know one example was Microsoft. They had a software development company in China. I forget who the local partner was, but they started a joint venture together. The new venture was called Microsoft, like Microsoft with a W. And so Microsoft still existed as a company. The local partner still existed as an independent company. And the JV was this third company that they shared ownership in. So each owned a percentage of it. And then James, what you said at the beginning is direct investment. So that's just where you either buy a local firm and take it over, an acquisition, or you set up your own manufacturing subsidiary. So subsidiary is a company under the main company, right? So you have the head office wherever it is, and they set up a new company, and that's a subsidiary. Yeah, okay. I'm going to sort of skip through this, but essentially what happens when a company internationalizes, usually they don't, in the beginning, they don't do exports. Then they start using intermediaries to handle the export process. Then they build a sales office, a sales subsidiary, and then they start doing the production facilities abroad. So usually it's these sort of 4 steps, more or less. Okay, so a more general quote about marketing is this one. In marketing, there are those who satisfy needs and those who create wants. Wants and needs is two different things. What would you describe as a need, something you need to have? It's not a trick question.
Yeah, just food and basic livings.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like this.
Necessary things.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have clothes and food and shelter, those kind of things. And what's something that you own that is a want? Maybe something that a few years ago you didn't have. But
Like PS4.
exactly. That is
Various kind of games.
yeah.
You guys have one in Hong Kong office? I'm quite curious about this.
No, actually. No, I don't.
I thought Kenny buy one for it.
All business in Hong Kong. Yeah. Exactly. I think for me, my favorite example is the iPad, because I think today we would say a computer is a need. You need to have a computer to work and to be connected to life, and you need a phone. That's unavoidable. But an iPad is this kind of middle product that you don't really need it, but Apple introduced it and people want it, and they have it. So, like, you don't see people doing serious work on an iPad. But everybody still has a phone and still has a computer, and you know.
Like when you use the electronic book.
The electronic.
Electronic. How to say the ebook?
Ebook, yeah. Ebook is fine.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I have seen that previously when I was in a master program, and my classmates use iPad to like write the notes instead of use like paper and pen.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think it's convenient than use the laptop. Because you have to tab, and but you use a pad, you can draw something, and it's not really convenient to draw something in the computer if you're not really familiar with this.
Sure, that's true.
But I think maybe this is how to describe why there is an iPad.
Yeah, yes, you're right. I think originally though, yeah. I mean, the iPad came out in like 2010, so originally they weren't doing anything like that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, people use them and find needs for them.
I think it's developing. It's a developing process. Perhaps everything, if we see it this way, everything is basic. At the first, they are just created. This, of course, like smartphone and something like smartphone and computer. At first, we doesn't actually need it, but it's wanted. Right. And so the iPad has, at first, it's been created like wants, but now it's actually become something that student needs it to study or perhaps taking notes.
Yeah.
I think it's just changing.
Debatable only because there's actually very good research on the effectiveness of using an iPad for a book, like an electronic book compared to a physical book and physical paper, and the learning outcomes are much worse, measurably worse, when you use something like an iPad compared to a book, for a number of reasons, and nobody's really working on how to fix that, how to address that issue right now. So I think but no, I know what you mean. Like things get developed, like like mobile phones have been around since the early 80s. They were huge, but they had them. But people now you basically have to have one. There's no, or not be connected to anything in life. So yeah, you're right. Things change. what do you think? I don't think we have time for this. Let me skip over that one. So where you guys live, what would you consider to be the most, we'll combine these two, what would you consider to be the most famous international brands? Maybe,
Sorry.
sorry?
Ferrari. Is that
Ferrari?
right? Ferrari?
The car?
Ferrari.
Okay.
Yeah, the card, the cool card.
Okay, okay. What about for something, all right, we can go through these categories. What about for something like clothes?
Oops,
Uniqlo.
Zara.
Zara.
Yeah, Zara.
All right, that's interesting. Okay.
I think Uniqlo. Yeah, it's quite common in Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also very popular in Hong Kong.
Sure. Have you been to, Uniqlo is an interesting example because have you been to Uniqlos in different countries?
No,
No.
no. Actually, I think they're really similar.
You,
I think, yeah, I have been to the like in the mainland of China and also in the Hong Kong, and I think it's really similar.
Yeah,
the
but
design.
if they have shops in Europe or American, it's maybe different from Asia, I think.
Mm.
possibly, but I definitely the quality of their clothes is a lot higher in the Hong Kong Uniqlo and the Japan Uniqlo than the mainland China.
Oh,
There's one not far from my home. And it's like it's quite it's noticeably different. If you just buy like a regular T-shirt, you can very clearly see the difference. What they sell in the mainland is much lower quality compared to Hong Kong.
okay.
Does the price have a lot of
Price is similar.
prices?
Yeah,
similar?
similar,
Oh, really?
The different quality.
Yeah.
same number in the price. Yeah, in different dollars.
Yeah. Like Zara, on the other hand, is very similar everywhere you go.
Uh,
I mean, my wife goes there sometimes. We've been to a Zara in Vienna, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in mainland China. There, the quality is very even and very, very, sort of noticeably the same. Right. Have you ever seen, can you think of any examples of when an international brand of any kind has adapted, they've changed their product in some way to fit in with the local market?
McDonald's.
Sure. What did they do?
Yeah, because as the mainland of China, it has a new name, Jingongmen.
Yeah.
Have you heard that news? It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Everybody thought it was pretty funny, actually.
Jingongmen.
Right.
Yeah, it's
It's vivid. Yeah, it's vivid.
yeah, it's vivid, right?
What's that? McDonald's? What do they mean?
Yeah, it's a big M.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in the color is gold.
yeah.
Oh, so
color
the
and-
naming is
Yeah.
Jin.
yeah，
Oh,
金拱门，然后是一个拱。
And they just changed it like last year or 2 years ago because it was.
Yeah. The company of McDonald's in mainland of China, they changed the name to Jingongmen. Am I right?
I don't know this news.
I didn't
I know
know
from
Yeah, it was considered very unusual because McDonald's is globally is a very strong brand, and their old Chinese name was very similar to the English name in some ways, and they had been using that in China for 20 years or whatever, and then they.
So do you know the previous name in China? 之前你们 McDonald's 会叫什么？因为我们这边叫麦当劳。
The same.
麦
Yeah.
当娜，
哦，麦当娜。哦，
麦当劳啊，
麦当娜不是个 is the name of some actor。
没有，你说台湾叫什么麦当劳？
它叫麦当劳。麦当劳。
我们也是叫麦当劳。
也是叫麦当劳。哦，我本来以为区域不一样会 have some different names.
But in Hong Kong, sometimes they call it 麦记.
Might see.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, in Hong Kong, many restaurants they have they will call it briefly like if the name is something like 李什么什么面馆，然后他们就会说李记。
I see.
对，
哦
然后
麦
麦当劳就是麦记。
All right. It's interesting.
Quite different. Yeah.
My day.
I think KFC is another example of where they adapted the local product because they here for KFC for breakfast they sell zhou and the like youtiao and all those things, which is they would never. I don't even think they do that in Taiwan. I think they just do that.
No, they didn't do this in Taiwan. So we actually just the basics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reasonably good like, Chinese style breakfast here as far as like that kind of.
蛋挞, maybe do sell 蛋挞, something that's small.
Everybody sells that.
Oh, I see.
McDonald's sells them, KFC sells them, Burger King sells them. Everybody sells that.
Yeah.
You can buy them at the convenience store. Absolutely. Yeah, good. And I wonder too. I don't know for sure, but I think the some of the luxury brands like the very expensive clothing brands. I'm trying to think of an example like LV or whatever.
Gucci.
I think they adapt their products a little bit as well, like in like what you see. I don't buy them, so I don't really know. But like,
You mean like when there is a spring festival, when it close to spring festival, so they will like issue some new design to celebrate the spring festival of China.
I don't know. Do they do that? I don't know.
Like they will, for example, in China there's some animals.
The zodiac. Okay.
In,
We call this the zodiac.
it,
12
it,
animals.
周年限定.
how to say that?
The zodiac. You know,
Limitation.
It's all okay.
do you mean like the animal for the year that you're born?
Limit edition.
生肖
Andrew
是指说生肖，对 ，zodiac 是生肖的意思。生肖12生肖，中国12生肖，对。
Yeah, they use the zodiac to like to
Put on the bags and clothes.
clothes and issue some new design of some clothes or bags.
Sure.
But it's really ugly.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, we're kind of out of time, so yeah. I'll tell you what. Let's stop here. We'll go through this some more of this vocabulary next time. Writing. Yeah. So basically, there's an article on international marketing which we'll talk about next class, and also on class, Kevin Wong will be joining us on the Friday class as well.
Oh, really?
Okay.
He can't make the Thursday, so he's going to change. So he'll be joining us.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, James.
Have a good night.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.